G'day guys, my name's Alex from The Tripod. Welcome to another edition of Punting 101. We haven't done one of these for a while, obviously, because we've had, NFL season go right the way through and then jump right into NRL season. But this will be episode 23 of this, and I thought I'd do a quick one, just call it the lockdown edition and what we should be doing as punters, being locked in our house at the moment with barely anything to punt on. All major sporting codes have pretty much been cancelled at this point. There's only absolute garbage that you can punt on. So I thought I'd do sort of a /lockdown edition /responsible gambling / don't be an idiot and lose all your life savings while you're stuck at home in your house edition. I'm going to talk about a few things in this one. If you want to hear about, I'm going to talk a little bit about Bookie Edge further down the line in this pod. But if you want to hear a bit more about that, you can go to our YouTube channel and just search Punting 101 and you should be able to find the episode there on Bookie Edge and how to calculate it. So I'll throw a few numbers and percentages in here. So if you want to know how I calculate those, just head on over to our YouTube channel and watch those clips. But let's get stuck in, guys. Hang on. I'm not in the right one here. Alright. So let's get started here. Pretty much got 3 rules here for the lockdown edition. So pretty much everything has been closed recently. We're stage 3 of lockdown at the moment. So most people, not most people, but a lot of people obviously have been laid off or have lost their jobs or have been suspended indefinitely, stuff like that. So just from a health standpoint, I would just urge you guys, stay the fuck inside. We know, there's a lot of misconceptions floating around there on social media. I'll get to point 2, don't be reckless, but I know that us as gamblers generally have a bit of a reckless side. I'm sure that most of you have gone on a tear, had a few beers and lost a few grand in a night. I know that I have. So this is not the time to be reckless with your health. And number 2, don't be reckless. This is not the time to be reckless with your punting either. We've done this for over 5 years now, and we've won on the NRL and the NFL every single year that we have done this. And now that there's only pretty much some weird soccer leagues on, there's some chess on. I think that's been cancelled now. We've still got a little bit of horse racing going. Who knows how long that'll be still going. You've still got your eSports, and stuff like that. But I'd just say don't be reckless. I know you're going to be at home. I know people are stocking up on alcohol. I certainly have. I'm having a drink as we speak, and it's 2:30 on a Tuesday afternoon. But what I would say is you're going to be sitting at home, you're going to be bored. Well, please resist the urge to just absolutely unload on some of these sports that just happen to be on at the moment. I mean, we say it all the time in terms of the NRL. There's 8 games a week on. And sometimes there is the temptation when you lose on the first couple of games of, let's say, a Super Saturday, to try and chase your losses on the 3rd game of that Super Saturday. And what I'd say is, please resist the urge to do that, because when you do chase your losses like that, even if it is in the NRL when you have a pretty good idea of what's going on, you weren't going to bet that game anyway. So if you decide to bet it now, not only are you pretty much guaranteed to not be placing a positive EV wager, but at the moment you're placing, bets on sports that you probably haven't bet on before, you probably haven't done the research on, and you probably don't know that much about. And that leads me to my 3rd point. Don't punt on shit you have no idea about. And I'll see that a lot of the time now, and look, I get it. We're punters. We want to have a punt on stuff, and I should have probably edited that number 3. Look, you're allowed to have a punt on some dumb shit during the day. If you usually don't punt on horses or greyhounds, sure, you can throw a bit of beer money on that. If you're bored at night and you're watching you want to live stream some table tennis and just feel alive for a second and have a bit of a punt, certainly do that. But what I would certainly suggest is do not put as much on table tennis or eSports if you've never been on them before. Don't put as much on that as you would normally if you fully researched an NRL game. I know that I am not doing that. I haven't placed one bet actually on table tennis or eSports during this lockdown. But look, I get it. A lot of people want to have a punt, and feel free to do that. But don't be putting on your regular 2 to 3 units on a table tennis 6-leg multi just because there's nothing else on. Alright, let's get to some stuff here in regards to what's actually on at the moment. I just had a quick look through a few of the bookies just to see what we can actually punt on at the moment. The first thing that came up was eSports, and I've gone through Bookie Edge before. Look, I have no fucking idea about esports, but I have watched it once on ESPN. It was a little bit of fun. But we've got the first game that came up on Sportsbet, LGD Gaming versus Edward Gaming. Look, I wouldn't have the first fucking clue who's going to win this, and I wouldn't know if there's any value to be left there on the ground. But look, I did the calculations, and it only comes out to a 6% bookie edge, which is actually pretty good. When you're betting on a straight-up line bet in the NRL, let's say both sides are $1.90, that's about a 5% bookie edge. So the thing is, you're getting a bit better of a price on esports because it is a pretty liquid market. There are a lot of bets being taken on esports throughout the globe, so it's not a market that, you know, these bookies are going to get swamped on if you put, you know, $500 on. It is a fairly liquid market, and therefore they can have the bookie edge a little bit shorter. So look, that's actually not too bad if you're looking to fling some beer money on something. If you really have to have a punt while you're being locked in your house, esports at 6% bookie edge isn't actually terrible. And look, we've said this before, you know, we appeal to, you know, expert punters and recreational punters alike. And for the recreational punter, if you're going to lose 6% in the long run to get a little bit of entertainment out of watching some esports, then that's probably not the worst investment you can make. Plus, it's very easy to be able to stream esports, whether you're, you know, doing it on Twitch or wherever you are. So a 6% bookie edge for the first game that I looked at for esports is not actually too terrible. Moving on to table tennis. These are the first couple of games that popped up on Sportsbet as well. Vladislav Smuglyukov against Sergey Kuzmin. Yeah, Kuzmin's got that for sure at $1.45. Look, once again, I have no idea about table tennis, and I've seen a few people, you know, commenting in the group and stuff that just throw the favourites in table tennis and they will win. And what I'd suggest to you is that, you know, if you're betting on something that you pretty much have no idea about, and also when you're getting a higher bookie edge, which I've calculated for these two games, the first game came out at 7.5%, a little higher than esports, and the second game at 8.1%. That means in the long run, if you bet these markets, if you just throw a dart at these markets, the bookie is keeping 7.5% of all money bet on that market and 8.1% of all money bet on that market. That's not a great investment. So what I'd say to you guys, once again, is it's not a horrific bookie edge at 7.5 and 8.1. It's not terrible, but it's not very good either. And especially if you have no idea what you're doing, I'd say either don't bet it, or if you really, really have to bet it, please just do quarter units or a half unit at the absolute max. Don't waste all the money that you've, you know, researched and bet hard, you know, you've looked into, and you've made all this money betting during the NRL, NFL, AFL seasons, NBA, whatever, where you actually do the research, and then blow through your bankroll just because you're bored at home and want to watch a bit of table tennis. The third thing that I'd recommend, and I have said this previously, is in regards to horses. Look, I've done like I said, I did a quick punting 101 on this a few months ago, but for your horse racing bettors out there, look, I know a lot of people that bet on horses every weekend. Obviously, there's a bit more horses on now, and there's nothing to bet on during the week. So a lot of people that would have been betting on sports during the week or on the weekend are now turning towards horse racing or greyhound racing to invest their money there. Look, if you have been punting on horses for a long time, and you kind of, you know what you're doing, and you can argue that you break even or close to, then fair enough. I'll let you bet on the horses. But look, guys, if you haven't been betting on the ponies for a while, that is the absolute toughest sport to make money on. I know Jacob's going to do an interview with Jason, or he would have had done one by now by the time I post this one up. But I did that pod on Bookie Edge, and for the horse racing, the bookies keep about 20 to 30% of your money bet on that market. So a 20 to 30% bookie edge on horse racing markets, that's far worse than table tennis, far worse than esports. So unless you really know what you're doing, it's easy to lose a lot of money very quickly having a few beers, sitting on the couch, watching horse race after horse race. So what I'd caution you guys is just to certainly be careful with that. Obviously, it's fun for a little bit of beer money, and look, I'm not saying you shouldn't bet it if you don't know anything about it, but just at least be a little bit responsible. And lastly, look, you can bet on all sorts of stuff at the moment. You can bet on the weather. $1.90 for the first decimal place to be an even number or to be an odd number in Perth today. So that's an easy way to burn through your money pretty quickly. It's basically like betting a coin toss at $1.90, which you would never do unless you were absolutely lit on a night out with the boys. So I'd suggest to you guys, please don't bet any of these weather markets. They aren't going to be profitable for you in the long term. But yeah, what I would say during this lockdown is, look guys, stay safe. Don't blow through all your money sitting on the couch doing nothing. And if you really have to bet on something that's actually going to give you some sort of entertainment, at least if you're losing a little bit of money in the long run. And watching the weather probably isn't going to be that. But something like eSports, is probably not the worst way to go. You put your money down, you're probably going to lose about 6%, over time in the lockdown if you don't even know what you're talking about. And at least you get to watch some games and get some entertainment out of it whilst losing a little bit of money, or hopefully at least breaking even. So those would be my suggestions, guys, for the lockdown. Look, it's tough on everyone. We got to hang in there. Obviously, as punters, it's I wouldn't say it's tougher, but it's certainly tough to find things to bet on. But at least we should count ourselves a little bit lucky that as punters, most likely we are punting with disposable income, and we should be lucky enough that we do have that. There's a lot of people out there, especially at the moment, doing a little bit tougher than us. So chin up, guys. Hopefully we do have some legit sports to be able to punt on in the coming months. But in the meantime, stay safe. Don't be a reckless idiot, and save some money for when the real sports do come back on. Thanks for tuning in, guys. See you next time.